Welcome tonight's Clickcast. Get comfortable, kick off your shoes. Our broadcast journey, we're here to amuse. Watch this week's our broadcast delight. Dive into discussions, photography insight. Welcome tonight's Clickcast. Welcome tonight's Clickcast.
I have a style because I can walk into any particular style of landscape, if you like. I mean, I can do any genre, but any particular style of landscape. Like, say, you're a woodland photographer, which I'm not, but I enjoy it. I do seascape when I get the opportunity and the chance. I like the hills and the mountains. I like the country. I like all sorts of different styles, and that's just because I'm out there and I'm doing it, breathing it, and living it.
Hi, good evening, guys. It's Paul again from Clickcast. Clickcast, of course, is a podcast or vlogcast, and it mainly is talks to different photographers from different genres, up-and-coming photographers, and also well-known photographers, as we've got on tonight. So I'm just going to firstly go over a couple of things before we actually start. One of the things I want to just point out there is one of our friends who are actually on the podcast has decided to leave at the moment. We don't know if he's going to be back, but he's got a lot of things he wants to do, pursue photography, etc. So, Stevie, if you're watching, you take care of yourself, and I hope to see you again. Glad's, good to see you again. And Jan, the new person who's joined us, I know her very well. She's a very fond photographer, and this person I'm going to introduce now is another photographer who, of course, is on YouTube. So that's three YouTubers we've had on back to back from each other, and no more bigger than Paul Compton, of course, who does a lot of different types of photography. And I call him the hard worker in photography because he seems to do a lot of different types of vlogs, not just going to places and showing people how to actually take images or even just do a walkthrough and tell a story what he's doing. He also does little competitions. He does reviews on different types of products. I call him the hard worker in regards to the YouTube community. I couldn't do that because I find it hard to just do one video a week. I couldn't do that. So, without further delay, of course, I just want to ask Paul. Paul, can you introduce yourself? And, of course, to the people watching tonight who may, of course, be living under a rock, can you tell me more about yourself and what you do in your photography?
Hello. So I'm Paul Compton. I've been a landscape photographer now for probably about 6-7 years, or more dedicated landscape photographer with my YouTube channel, which I've had running again for 6 years. I live in Cheshire, which is pretty much bang in the middle of the UK, so it gives me a good scope for travelling around. I do Scotland. Peak District is on my doorstep. I've got North Wales and the Lake District again, not too far away. So I get to travel quite a bit. I also have a camper van, which has also aided things a little bit. So again, my weekends are taken up with traveling around and just getting out there and taking photos, to be honest.
Nice. Very nice. And of course, one of the questions we always ask everyone, of course, and it's one of the golden questions that get asked on every podcast: where did your journey in photography come from? Where did the inspiration to photograph come from?
I've done a few camera club chats, and that's the same thing everyone sort of asks, and it goes back to when I was about 10.
Really?
I remember I lived in London. I was born and brought up in London, and I had probably one of my first outings to like the Tower of London and Tower Bridge and all that. And my mum gave me a little camera, obviously had a little roll of film in it, and you sort of take this camera away and you take some pictures with it. And I remember using it and taking some pictures of Tower Bridge and things like that, and you know, a few little things around London. And I suppose that's where that little connection started. I was never good at reading. I'm actually, well, people would say now at this day and age that I'm dyslexic. Back then, it was just like you were the kid that couldn't read, so sit at the back of the class. So I think I was drawn more to visual and photography, you know, and photos and drawing and art, and that's what I used to do, a bit of art. So by having this camera, I just think that clicked. So I was probably about 10 when I took my first photograph, And I wish I still had that photo, because that was probably the addiction then.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's quite a nice interesting story, yeah. And where did you desire to photograph seascapes, landscapes, and all of this? And where did actually the notion come from, just to get out there in
So,
the terrain?
as you mentioned at the beginning, I've got a bit of a range of genres as well. I've
Yeah,
shot and I've photographed all sorts of things. The love for landscape really, I suppose, that stemmed from leaving camera clubs. And again, going back about 6 years, 7 years, I left a camera club. I'd sort of drawn to my limit. I'd got to that stage where it was doing me more harm than good, if for want of a
yeah,
better word. So I had to direct myself in some direction. I still wanted to take photographs, still love the camera, I still wanted to be out there doing it. So I suppose I started doing landscape because I saw other YouTubers out there doing it, and they were out and about seeing different things and going different places. And I've not, you know, I've been riding motorbikes for a few years, so I saw a lot of the country through the eyes, you know, behind the visor, and it was amazing. So I just took up the camera and thought, you know what, I'm going to go out and start sort of traveling around and actually photographing what it is I do, where I go, and how I see it. So that's pretty much where the picture started for landscape. You know, that's where I started pushing myself that direction. It's about being out there, having the
yeah,
adventure, seeing the countryside, and then the photographs are all the added bonus.
yeah. And I'm looking at, I see a lot of your videos with Steve Stain, etc. We call Stainy Pants, if I remember
Yeah,
right. And of course, Ginger Photography. What's his really nice guy? Is it Dan? Is it?
yeah,
Um,
Darren.
Darren, sorry. Yeah, so you guys kind of once in a while you meet up and you're going like sometimes it was a convoy last time. You were pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah,
going up to Scotland. I remember that was a great series there
that
of
was a big
videos.
adventure.
That was a couple of years ago now, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah, just over probably about 18 months ago. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
We
guys,
sort
you
of,
haven't seen. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
we haven't
sure you have
seen
seen
each other
his.
a lot lately. We sort of all drifted off and went in our own sort of directions a little bit. But yeah, the
Yeah,
community finds it sort of comes in and it goes out, and everyone has their own little sort of genres and disappears to do their own things.
yeah, that's a good point.
And I found that over the years, you know, over the 6 years of doing landscape photography, I made sort of little connections and then moved, you know, we all seem to move around a little bit.
Yeah, that was a good point. That because you tend to it's like myself and Jan and Glads, we were like a few years, we kind of done our own thing and we've kind of met again doing this. You're going in and out of each other, just meeting each other again, because we all have
Yeah.
other things in our life, let's face it. Photography is not everything in life, let's face it, of course. Some people.
Well, mostly for me, it is.
Yeah, yeah, it can be. It's the only time you can go out and you find someone walking about in a forest by themselves with a camera in their hand, which is a good excuse. So yeah, I mean, just getting back to the point when you guys are on the roads, there must be some stories with you guys going out when you're doing the convoy. Because I was watching, I actually watched it a couple of weeks ago. Just to catch up on it, just because I liked that kind of sort of episode of videos of there. And one of the things I liked about because you introduce everyone and they're all cooking in their vans and their
Yeah.
camper vans, etc. You're getting ready for sunsets or sunrises rather. And is there you had any problems, of course, when you guys are out? Did you have any like disasters, trying to meet each other or anything that happened on
Um,
the road?
Not really. I mean, it's
That's
quite
good.
well planned. Yeah, I say the biggest disasters, the hardest thing is when you go out of a group of vehicles, it's finding somewhere where you can park. And again, if you're going out of a group of vehicles that want to stop over, so camper vans rather than cars, you're
Yeah.
finding somewhere you can not only stop, but you can actually sleep as well. So that's a difficulty, trying to find somewhere you can fit everyone in. And then again, trying to get everyone to sing off the same hymn sheet. When you're
Yeah.
parking, all face that direction or all face, yeah, that becomes a bit difficult. Well, we have radios, so we got communication between the vans, between other
Yeah.
vehicles as well.
Noticed
So
that. Yeah.
we can shout to people and say, look, move or shift or back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's not too bad. But disasters, no, I've been pretty lucky really with most of my outings and stuff. I think the major disaster, the one I can remember from going back to the beginnings, I was out of a group of photographers and I heard a clank behind me. And the guy's camera came off the top of his tripod and lens snapped off and stuff like that. So that was about the biggest disaster I think I've been out with.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's not too bad.
injuries, breakdowns, and getting stuck and lost. No, so
That's
far
that's
so
really good.
good.
Yeah.
Touch wood, so far so good. But
Yeah.
it's good.
Of
It's
course.
good banter. It's when
Yeah.
you're out with other
Exactly.
people. It's good to draw off of other people's energy
Yeah.
and to also push each other. Like let's go up to that tree, and then you get to the tree as well. Let's go up to that rock, and then you get to that rock. So let's go up to that tree, and you find you do more because you're out with others.
Yeah. That's a good point. You kind of push each other that way. That is. Glads, Jan, any questions for Paul so far?
Can you go first? It's
Yeah,
just
of course
me.
you can. Of course you can.
Hi, Paul. It's good to have you here. And I have seen that you actually let me backtrack. Is photography actually your main occupation?
No, not by a long shot. I have a full-time job. So not only the stuff you see me doing on videos, I've got a full-time job. I work in a factory. I'm actually a timber packaging manufacturer and designer.
Okay.
So that's what I do for my work, mainly for my main income. Photography is a bonus. So anything, i.e. workshop wise or calendars and stuff like that, that's always an added thing. That's sort of like holiday money, if I can just, it's basically I don't have to earn it, so I don't sort of charge a lot. So it's just a case of something extra.
Yeah.
So just a follow up for that actually, because I know there would be some young people who would find this, of course, this podcast or Clickcast, and they would be thinking about a career in photography. So based on your response earlier, it looks like it's not gonna be a good choice to focus, or is that, or am I jumping into conclusion? Is there actually a future in being a professional photographer?
Okay, so if you watch my channel, if you watch my videos, I'm very honest, very down to earth, and I will say it exactly as it is. Personally, if you want to get into photography to make money, unless you have an actual specific subject, you're going to struggle. I think there's that many people out there now, and you all got phones. Everybody probably watching has got a phone. You can pick up a phone and you can take a photograph. Yeah. Landscape photographers, I'm even harder about, because anyone can stand there and take a photograph of a landscape. So it's really hard to make money out of that. So unless you're established, unless you've got a way into, a doorway and entry, so a gallery, a studio, or something you can enter with, just going onto YouTube is difficult. I mean, I've been doing it nearly 7 years on YouTube, and I'm not making anything from YouTube. Now, I know other people have. I don't know what the angle is, how that happens, how you make it happen. If you've got a good business head, maybe you can try different things that way. But initially, and being honest, I would say it is an extremely difficult thing to get into, to make money with just with taking photographs, especially now because you've got AI as well creeping in. Yeah. Over the last couple of years, AI has got better and better, and you don't even have to take a photograph now. I can talk to the computer, ask it what I want, and it will develop an image for me. So I would say anyone young and watching, it's going to be really difficult. So good luck to you, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you so much for that. And it's it is quite a good point, because I do hear it as well with my friends. I've got friends who actually are in the business of like news agencies, and they do say that you have to find a niche subject and be very, very good at it to actually kind of carve that audience share within YouTube and other video sharing platform. And I think the reason why I ask it is that because I just wanted to kind of put some kind of a reality check really on the whole photography profession.
It's I just think we're doing it for the amount of years I've done it, and the amount of people I've met, and the amount of people that want to make money, and the amount of people that actually make money. It's an extremely there's a lot of people out there, Like I say, with phones, the phones now can take as good a photograph as any camera. We live in a digital world, so you can edit and manipulate your photographs to do anything. So anyone can do that. It's a digital world, to the fact that we don't necessarily know what, not many people want prints these days. To find someone that actually wants to buy a picture of a tree or a seascape and put it on their wall is really difficult, because everything's on an electronic screen, you know, so that sort of side of it's got to be drifting away. You know, I feel for these people that have got these galleries and studios and that are out there and that's their living, because it's got to be really, really difficult. Even with calendars, I mean, I produce a calendar, and to get people to actually buy one, I find it quite difficult, because it's like, oh, I use my phone. They're missing the point that you're getting 12 images, you know, that you can have for the price of, you know, less than one image. I don't use paper, you know, so yeah, I really do think to actually go out there and make money, unless you're like, maybe you're a wedding photographer, you can train to be a wedding photographer and you've got that thing, that niche, that setup, and then it's just a case of, you know, bottling all and getting all that, you know, getting the people in there and doing your housework to get, you know, to make the business. But yeah, unless you've got something, a specific something, especially landscape, I would say, steer clear of trying to make money with landscape photography.
Yeah, it's that thing where landscape is so beautiful, and I think we all kind of gravitate to taking pictures of landscape, and we do want to sell our images because we're so proud of them. But in the realistic terms, you know, it's photography. It's not dead, but the thing is, certain genres could die, as you said, like landscape. Wedding photographers, not so much so. Portrait photographers, not so much so again, because that's something that artificial intelligence can't create as much, because that's people.
Yeah.
Street photography, like Glads does, is another genre that'll probably be okay as well in that respect. But yeah, I think it's going to be challenging, and I do appreciate that advice as Jan kind of asked that question, because people are watching that. There is going to be people who are looking to get into landscape photography, and there's a lot of people who we look up to in YouTube. People like yourself, Thomas Heaton, Simon Baxter, guys like Adam Gibbs. We all look at these guys and we think, you know, I would love to do that. Yeah.
I'd just like to say that was a really nice, that's me and them three. I'll take that.
You know what? You know,
because I'm this big compared to those guys.
I'll give you the money. Don't worry.
But yeah, those guys. I mean, those guys do make money out of landscape photography. They've been doing it a long time, and they've already got that niche. They've already got that thing set up.
Yeah.
So for them guys, it's a case of pursuing what they carry on, what they're doing, and being good at what they do. And yeah, they've already had those doorways already are opened. For someone like me that's sort of coming in and trying to sort of not catch up with them, but trying to sort of push myself towards that direction, I'm another, you know, I'm those so many levels down the line, you know. So
yeah, I think you're offering something different, though. You're giving a bit more than just
definitely.
So that, you know, that's in your own right. That, you know, you've got a big following.
I started purely to be different. You know, Thomas Heaton was a big, massive inspiration to me when I first started. You know, he was the guy I used to watch. He was the one that everyone knows his name. He was UK landscape photographer, as far as I was concerned. But I got so frustrated with watching his videos, because he would travel the world. He'd travel to different countries. He'd travel on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Friday.
Yeah.
He'd look at the weather and he'd plan his days. I cannot do that. So I used to get more frustrated that I have to go out on a Saturday and a Sunday, and it's going to rain and it's going to be horrible. That's it. That's all I've got. So I started my channel to bring true reality back to photography. This is what we've got. We're out on a Saturday and a Sunday, like 90% of people, 95% of people. This is the weather we've got. So we're going to head out here and we are going to produce something. I always come out of a photograph, always make something out of something. And that's purely why I started. So it's pretty much Thomas Heaton that gave me that want to actually show there is a different side of it.
It's like Paul Johnson. Is it Paul Johnson?
Yeah.
Heaton were like, and Gary Goff were like the first kind of three guys that started.
Exactly. Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Glads, you got any questions at all?
Yeah, I was going to say, you said that you had a great inspiration, the fact that he travelled everywhere. What areas have you travelled, or places you like to travel to photograph?
Oh, how long have we got?
It's okay.
I've got a list as long as my arm, but I suppose the main ones. I mean, I've ticked off one of my main ones, the Vero Islands. I went a couple of years ago, and since I first went, I've now done a group trip over there. I took my first group trip over there a few weeks ago. Just purely a photography trip. It's not a business. It's just a case of I organised everything and took people over there, accommodation, and took them for a trip around the places I know. Absolutely loved it, but extremely hard work. So I take my hat off to the guys that do that as a business, because I was so tired when I got back, because you switched on all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Faroe Islands, tick that off my box. I've just recently, last weekend, I've actually just booked, there's 4 guys going to Iceland. So we're going to go and do south of Iceland next year. I've booked the accommodation and the car and everything. We're just going to go, and same again, it's just a photography trip. We're going to go over there and take photographs. So that's going to be another one off my list. I've wanted to go to Iceland for as long as I can remember doing landscape photography. I think it's a bucket list. I know it's popular now. I know it's been sort of overdone a little bit, but I've not done it. I've not been there. So I just want to go and have a look, take a few pictures. I've also got Norway, somewhere I strive to go. I'd love to go and do Norway, especially the northern part. Dolomites, I've even talked about that over the last couple of days with the people going to Iceland. You know, we've talked about doing the Dolomites. You know, you see, you know, the likes of Mads and things going over there. And like, wow, you know, so anything like that, I'd love to go. Sylvania, anywhere pretty. Now, I'm actually going to Milan just for a quick, cheap Christmas break, a very, very cheap Christmas break. I won't be doing a lot of photography, but I am taking a camera with me. So that'd be quite nice. So to go and have a look, maybe like Lake Como, and just to have a little sneaky peek of that. So yeah, that might be okay. So I'm not done a lot of traveling outside the UK because it's always been, again, time with having a full-time job, money because it's very costly, and things are getting harder and harder, aren't they? So yeah, I've got a lot of places on my list. I have done a couple of videos. I've been to Poland, and I went to Auschwitz, which was not everyone's cup of tea, but I actually videoed it, and I was really proud of the video when I finished it, and I've got a lot of good feedback from it. But again, that's one of those places, you know, it's worth going to see. So I've traveled to these, you know, a few little places. Yeah, I've got a massive list of anywhere you name I'd like to go to. You know, it's
So would you go outside of Europe, like anywhere like for
100%.
example, I come from the south of Chile, my family do, like Patagonia, or even like areas of Africa because the terrain is so
100%.
different.
Yeah, 100%. There's loads of places I'd like to see. Grand Canyon, you know, and Canada, and yeah, Africa would be amazing. I mean, I'm not a wildlife photographer, but yeah, I'd love to get that 400mm out those cupboard and you know, take it with me. Yeah, 100%. I'd love to see a lot more of the world, especially now. We're getting a bit older, and you know, I haven't done it. I've not been able to do it over the years. And so yeah, definitely many. But if I can do it, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I also noticed that you teach as well, different techniques of photography. What's your favorite? What's your most favorite thing in teaching?
You know what? It's really weird because I wouldn't class myself as a teacher as photography, because I basically say what I'm doing. So when I'm on YouTube and I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm what's coming out of my mouth is what I'm thinking, which is not a lot normally, but I'm not very educational to the fact that we've got to follow this triangle, we've got to do this, you've got to do that, and you know, you adjust this and you adjust that. I'm not a manual photographer. I'm not someone who shoots in manual. I don't consider myself as being one of the pros like that, as that experience. I know how it all works, but I don't worry about it. I care less about all the technical side of it, because I'm there to take the picture, and as long as the picture is what I want it to be, I'm happy with that. I don't need to know the exposure triangle, and adjusting this gives you this and adjusting that gives you, I've got no idea. It's all maths. But the biggest thing, I think the most interesting thing I taught someone once, and it was actually my first ever workshop I did about 4 years ago. And he asked me, he said, do you do workshops? I'm like, well, I don't, but you know, why? He said, well, I think you'd be really good. Would you do one for me? I'm like, yeah, okay then. So I took him out for a workshop, took him out for the day. It was an amazing thing. We were still on this bank, and the bank was really quite steep. And I remember saying to him, oh, you've got a nice tripod there, you know, for someone that's sort of just getting into it. And he's like, yeah, I thought I'd get a good one to start with. I said, right, we'll set your tripod up on this hill. He said, we'll shoot across there. There's a really nice tree. When the light catches that tree, it's going to look really nice. You know, look like little golden petals hanging off of it. And he stood there and looked at me and just stared at me. I said, yeah, just put your tripod, you know, on the bank. And the hill was sort of quite steep. It was quite a slope. He hadn't realised that you could set the tripod up with the legs at different lengths. And I was like, what? I just stood there and stared at him, and I'm like, oh, I hadn't realised myself that people hadn't, that just something as simple as that. Yeah. That I had to explain, we'll make one leg short and put the other two legs down the hill, and the tripod will still be in. And I was taken back. I was like, wow, You know, so if anything, that has got to be my best experience of just experience that experience that someone didn't realize a tripod, you could have the legs different lengths, you know, and how to use a tripod. So that's beyond the camera. That's before you even get the camera out of the bag, you know. So yeah, I was quite taken back by that.
One of the things I also wanted to ask, sorry guys, just wanted to cut in there. I know how difficult it is to do YouTube videos, and I only do one video every other week. Well, I try to do it weekly, but I just find it really exhausting, especially doing this as well. But I manage it. How do you find time with working? And also, of course, do you know what you do? Because I know you know, sometimes you do 2 videos a week sometimes, is that correct?
I have been, well, I started off with 1 and then I quickly got on to doing 2 and I carried on doing 2. I've recently gone down to doing 1, purely to try and rein myself back in. I found that because I was putting out everything, I'd put out bad videos, put out good videos, I put out rubbish weather videos, I put out everything because it's honest, it's true, it's there and it's there. And I've also done, like say, the review stuff and things like that. And doing reviews on your landscape channel is really difficult because it destroys the algorithms. It messes up the way Google sees the channel. If it doesn't get the same amount of views, it's not the same sort of content, it can mess it up. And I think I've messed my YouTube channel up quite severely over the last couple of years, and I wanted to sort of rein back in from doing those extra reviews. But recently, coming up to Christmas, probably all the companies are shouting at me. I've got a cupboard full of stuff that I've got to do. So again, over the next few weeks, probably I'll be putting out mixed reviews and things. And I like doing them because I like gadgets and tech. And when it comes back to time, I've been really lucky. My wife's been really good, you know, over the years. She's looked after the house and done everything and let me do what I want to do. So I've been able to go out, and I go out every weekend, take photographs. And a weekend you can, you know yourself, you can maybe get out and do a sunrise and a sunset, or, you know, so that's 2 videos. If I'm lucky to get a 3rd one, if I'm going to show, or even the weather's bad on the Sunday, that's 3 videos I've got in a week. So to put 2 out, I've still got a spare one. So I end up making this accumulation. I got to a stage once where I was like almost 2 months ahead, and the videos were all lined up, pre-set up, ready to go.
Yeah, see what you mean.
And so I was just ticking them along.
Yeah.
And then you get the times where you don't get out so much, you know, and then you catch up a little bit. But yeah, 2 videos a week is quite difficult, and it's not always the best because I've said that I've come across as being lots of different things, but when it comes to the photography and the professionalism, I don't look probably as professional as some, because I'll show you everything. And I think you find a lot of people, a lot of vloggers would probably keep back the not so good stuff and just put out 1 every week or fortnight and show their best. So they always look like they're the tip top, when really they're the same as everyone, they're the same as everybody, the same you, me, and everybody. We all go out and have a really rubbish day where we don't really take anything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
I
more
tend to
human
show
aspect.
that. Yeah, I tend to show that, which is, it has that knock-on effect. And you don't look as good because people are looking at you and go, oh, he's quite average. Whereas if you save all those ones back and just keep them and put out 1 video every 2 weeks, and that's the best of the best, where you got the best light, the best photograph, you're going to look slightly better. But yeah, time-wise, I come in from work, do a bit of exercise, have a cup of tea, get on the computer. And that's pretty much what I do every day. But I'm in that position where I've been able to do that. Yeah,
I mean, that's fine, because I kind of, maybe it's because I'm not used to it. I kind of find myself chasing my tail, editing videos. But yeah, I mean, I was just wondering with that, because I know you do more than 1 video a week, and when you're saying you're working, I thought, wow, I need to be less, I need to keep myself quiet and then just get on with it.
I think that's all it is. Yeah, just literally, it's about keeping quiet. I don't have much of a life other than that. You know, all my other interests now have sort of petered away. So my interest is doing this. You know, I like it. I'm not the biggest editor. I used to use Premiere. I now use DaVinci Resolve, which I think a lot of people have done. Yeah, it's cheap, it's free, it's amazing. Took a little bit to get used to. And Final Cut's another quite good one, isn't it?
It's not too bad.
Would you say it's like photography is like a lifestyle, isn't it, really? Because like you said, that you've given up a lot of your interest to do photography.
Yeah, I stopped riding motorbikes. I was getting faster and faster and more dangerous. And you just think, hang on a minute, you know, you're getting older. So I stopped riding my bikes a little bit, didn't go out so much. So in the end, the bike got sold, which helped towards having the camper van. And yeah, I just, because I'm out every weekend, you know, doing what I'm doing, whether it's walking and climbing and stuff, taking photographs. And then, you know, I have the evenings in the week then to sort of do the videos. I've started editing a lot quicker. You know, I spend a lot less time on my YouTube edits that I used to when I was in the camera club. The camera club, I'd sit there night after night trying to edit a photograph to make it look the best it's going to look. Whereas now I've got quite simple, you know, click on a few sliders, have a few presets, and it's okay. I'm happy with that. It's roughly how I wanted it to look, and it's good enough for YouTube. And the editing, the same as the videos, it's quite easy as long as you video everything. If you video it, I think I'm videoing better. So I'm videoing B-roll, so I'm trying to get the stuff in camera on it together. So when I put it on, it's just a stream, and it's just a case of slotting it all into place. Rather than, I know some people have got some amazing cinematics and phenomenal video camera angles and direction. I mean, Thomas Heaton, look at his videos. He videos everything everywhere, up in the air, under the ground, inside the wheel arches, through everywhere.
Yeah,
that takes a lot of time to do and a lot of time to edit. Whereas if you look at mine, there's not a lot of that. So it's very simple editing I do. So that's again, breaking the time down.
Yeah, Thomas is a good storyteller, as he always says to us as well in his videos. But yeah, I didn't realize how hard it is to do YouTube videos. It is hard, and especially the B-roll part, where you know, I've got a little GoPro I'll use sometimes for the B-roll, and I'll use even a DJI Pocket 2 and my camera DSLR, etc. And you've got all these cameras set up, and it's kind of trying to get the quality into it. But I like what you said in regards to that. Is a point where do you actually make one video a week and just put everything into it, all your kind of talents, etc., and just trying to get the quality aspect, or do you actually do what you do? You're just trying to show people watching all how it should be, you know, how a photographer's life, what kind of a flying
Mine's
a
a lot
walking way you're
rawer.
doing it.
I think if you were to take me out and take Thomas Heaton out, the amount of time he takes and then B-roll and what he puts and the effort he puts into it and the time for editing, if you were to put us both out there, I'd be done way faster than him, because it's cameras in my hand, cameras there, and it's, you know, I'm not walking backwards and forwards all the time. I do a little bit, but not a lot. And when it comes to the editing, I put it down, stream it. Within 2 nights, it's done. Video editing and photos. Whereas I think Thomas, you know, it takes him a few days to find just to get everything off the camera. You know, I've heard rumors he videos everything all day, and he makes his stories out of all the bits he needs to.
Yeah, it's fascinating, that conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, actually, maybe I'm the boring person in this class now.
Not at all.
I'm just actually curious because, of course, photography, as everyone would say, that it's an expensive, you know, hobby. If you're looking at it as a hobby, so how important actually is the investment on your kit? With regards to, do you need to have like all the professional, most expensive kits, and or what can you actually, like, if I always say, if like myself, I'm a snapper, they call me. If I wanted to go into YouTube, what should I have in terms of kits? And also,
shall I show you the best piece of kit?
Yes,
please. Yeah.
This
mobile phone.
Seriously, if you just want to get into landscape photography, this will take amazing photographs. This will also take video, and you can even edit it on there. So if you want one piece of kit and you just want to get into going out and taking landscape photographs, this is the best piece of kit. Even though it's not what I use, this is the best bit of kit. That's what I took my first video on, and but just being, you know, a bit silly and a bit gimmicky, that is it. You do not need the best camera out there. You really don't. Now, I started on a low-end cameras, budget cameras. I got into camera clubs, and you're speaking to people in camera clubs that are really serious about winning competitions and stuff like that. You need better glass. Now, to get better glass, you obviously need the better camera that's going to accept the better glass.
Yeah.
You don't need the best camera, but you just need a better camera than what I had. So I changed my camera, went over to Canon, and the only reason I went for Canon is because I like the white lenses. On the football pitch, you've got a white lens, you look like a pro. That's all I cared about. So I bought a
Yeah.
Canon rather than Nikon, and I've had this Canon Nikon argument ever since. But yeah, I purely because I like the white lenses. So I bought the Canon. I then went from the basic Canon, I think it was a 70D. I went all the way up to the 5D Mark IV. So second to the top that they ever, that Canon made. I had all the pro glass, all the red ring pro glass, and it was amazing. Some of the glass was better than others, but it was phenomenal. And I was convinced that it would give you better photographs. And theoretically, yes, it does. You've got better resolution, you've got better clarity, you've got better contrast, you've got better everything, better sharpness. They do work better.
Yeah.
Since over those few years since from the Mark IV, I mean, they've all gone to digital now, and we've all gone mirrorless. I bought me Fuji. I started off with Fuji. I didn't like it at first. It was for me street photographs. That's what I got it for. Until they brought out the X-T4, which was as good as my other camera, just to taking pictures. And I enjoyed using it. And now I've got the X-T5, which is even better still.
Nice.
I do miss having a full frame because it's definitely got the edge on the photograph. So it's definitely more there in the editing if you want to push them. But like I said, I'm quite lazy, so I don't need it. I'm happy with what I've got. It's smaller, it's neat, it's lovely, it's nice and compact. I can use it for street. It's not intimidating. You don't shove in a big camera in people's faces. So I can use it for everything. It wouldn't do good at sports, and it wouldn't do good at decent wildlife. It's not fast enough. When you watch the big guys, yeah, they're using higher end cameras. They're using the new Sonys. Is it the Sony R4s or whatever it is? Or even 7s. I don't even know where they're on now, but they're using these really high end cameras, and they are phenomenal what they do. Thomas, I think, has just changed over to a Z8. That is an astounding camera, and all those people that know me, yeah, it's Nikon, I know, but yeah, no, it's an astounding camera. If I could change my kit now, I would go for probably the Nikon Z7, but it's just not affordable. I can't change everything. But when it comes back to what you need, like I say, you can take photographs on this. So as long as you've got a nice little camera that you can afford and a couple of nice lenses, so you've got that range of a decent, a half decent zoom lens, and then something a bit wider. You don't have to have everything, but having something a bit wider where you can get in the woodlands and the trees and taking in a nice big landscape image, and then something a bit tighter, some zoom lens that you can focus in on places and areas, little parts. Then yeah, that's all you need. I think having something you can afford, so you can still go out and use it, is more important than having the best you can get.
Okay, so thank you for that. That's really, really insightful. The other thing I wanted to ask is that have you actually, I did hear you mention about, going to Iceland, to Dolomites, going to you've been to the Faroe Islands and all those things. Have you thought actually about going into places that people have not heard about to take that unique shot that is all your own, rather than every single photographer, landscape photographer, had been there, done that, took the shot, and had the T-shirt?
Okay, can I let me answer that with another question. Have you got any ideas where?
Oh yes.
Oh, you do? Well, that's all right then. Me and you should talk. No, what I mean by that is there isn't many places like I say, I've got a full-time job. I do this, so I don't have the time to spend hours and hours and hours trawling the internet. Yes, there's got to be loads of places that people haven't gone, loads of places that aren't on the bucket list. The problem with me is I'm still, like I've said, I've been to the Faroe Islands. I'm now taking a few people over there and showing them. I'm going to Iceland, which is on my bucket list. Because I haven't been, it's as exciting still as being the first time. But yeah, 100%. I think that's what I do when I go out doing, a lot of landscape and stuff. I'm out and I'm having the adventure. If there's a little hill or a rock I can climb over, I'm going to go over it to see if there's something else there. So the adventure for finding something new is massive. I'd love to find all the newer places and things, but personally, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even know where to start. There's got to be so much, but where do you go? You've always,
we need to talk then.
Oh, please. Yeah, we need to talk. Definitely. Because I just find it hard to imagine. It's hard to switch off the places to start thinking of places you don't. I mean, there's a couple of people I follow on my Facebook. One guy does like abandoned places. I think his name's Graham. Oh, he is amazing. The places
stuff like that. I actually love stuff like that.
Where do you find these places? I did a video for this. There's a tank over in the Peak District. I didn't know it was there, but
Really?
when I saw someone else had been there, the inspiration is I need to go and find this tank. But where do these people just find these tanks, these aeroplanes, these old buildings, these old trains? They're just scattered all over the world and all over the country.
They are.
People find them, and they find them by trawling and trawling and trawling across
Yeah.
Google until they come across something. I haven't got
I
the
saw a
time to do that.
workshop for abandoned places down south in Bristol, which was an old station, underground station.
Oh wow, yeah.
Couldn't find it anymore because I thought I'd like to go. Gone.
Yeah. No, there's one place I wanted to go to recently, and apparently that's gone. So yeah.
Apparently
Yeah.
in Shrewsbury, because like in Scotland, we have an underground in Glimmerton Place, there's an underground temple, and
Cool.
Glimmerton Coves, and it was really impressive. But apparently in Shrewsbury they have something similar. They found someone fell down and found an underground temple. Because there
Wow.
are quite interesting things. It's just finding out.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I do use like photography guidebooks. I use the Ellen Bonus books. I think they're fantastic. They're small, they're tiny, compact, they fit in your camera bag. And just use them for inspiration. You look at photographs, you think, oh, well, that looks nice, let's go there. But the idea of using the photograph is to go there and then have a look and see what's around. So as much as
Even
you're using
going
that
through-
initial photograph as an inspiration.
Even following Hadrian's Wall is quite an
Yeah.
interesting thing.
Yeah. I've been up and I've walked along, and you find different things as you're walking along. But I remember going looking for a World War II or World War I bunker, and I walked all
Oh.
along the beach, and I knew this bunker was there. I've got it in a guidebook. It says it's here. I've got a photograph of it. I walked up and down the beach. I couldn't find it, and I've got my map out, and I'm on Google Maps, and it should be here. And you're lining yourself up to the lifeboat station. It's got to be here. And I'm scouting around the beach, and then suddenly this bunker that used to be above the sand, there was just this corner poking out the bottom of the sand. I was stood virtually on it. The bunker had sunk, the beach had moved, and it was now gone. You know, so yeah, a lot of the things that you go looking for, they don't even exist anymore. So
I heard in Scotland, in Edinburgh, near Edinburgh, is it Barn? I can't remember the name of the place. It's a massive quarry, but there's an underground bunker, and they were doing it up. There was a project where they were doing up this bunker. I think it was in Barton. I can't remember. Can you remember, Paul?
Bathgate?
But the underground bunker that's in Edinburgh, just outside Edinburgh, in one of the quarries. I can't remember the name of the place.
There is, yeah, I think it's a Gilmerton Cove. And it's
Not
just
Glimmerton Cove. Glimmerton
yeah, it's a
Cove's the
cove.
underground temple that I was telling you.
The Middle East
The other
Temple.
one,
Yeah,
is it Barton? Is it in Barton Quarries or something?
no, what the Midland, Gilmerton Cove apparently leads to Rosslyn Chapel, and
Yes,
that's
it
where the
does.
Holy Grail is supposed
Yes,
to
it
be. It's all
does.
mythical,
That's what-
but
Well, Glimmerton
yeah.
Cove does lead to that, and
And
because I
again,
remember,
those places inspire you to other things. I mean, I'm lucky because I live not far from North Wales, so you've got Dinorwig Quarry, and that
Yeah.
place is amazing. And I've been there dozens and dozens of times, and every time I go, I almost find something else. You know, so it's as much as it's, you know, going back to what Janet said, you know, going to different places. When you go to the popular places, I've got the eye to go looking for other things. You know, you don't just go and take that tree and then walk away. I'm normally there scouting around and having a look and getting myself in trouble and climbing on rocks I shouldn't be on, you know. So yeah, it's always looking for something else, something extra.
Yeah.
and it's also just
Yeah.
talking to the historians as well, because the reason why I knew that Glitterman Cove led to Rosslyn Chapel was because the lady who showed me around Glitterman Cove when they reopened it, I don't know if it's reopened now, said that there was one area. I said to her, where does that lead to? Because that looks like there's a blocked passage, and she went, oh, that leads apparently up to Rosslyn
Yeah,
Chapel.
I was there too, and she said exactly the same thing. It's Gilmerton Cove. It's an old miners' village. And apparently the person was a blacksmith, apparently who discovered it in the 1700s. And it's got like a punch bowl, etc. In there. There's you can walk actually go right to the back, and there's like sort of subdued bit you can't go past. There's like a wall that's kind of bricked up, etc. It's supposedly meant to be like a passage to Rosslyn Chapel. I don't think there's much evidence on that. I think that's mainly a tour guide's kind of way of trying to get people to think more. And it's a nice story. If it was the truth, hopefully it was the truth. I think it'll be great if they had done a more kind of excavation and tried to find that out. But in regards to the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail, etc., it's kind of all kind of circumstantial evidence. Nothing's really proven with that. but it's a
But there's
good
lots of,
story nevertheless.
but
Yeah,
if you go around Roslyn itself,
yeah,
there are a lot of symbols
yeah.
which
Chapel.
relate to the Knight of Templar. There's a lot of symbols.
Yes, yeah, there is. Yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, go on. Sorry.
sorry. No, I think with looking at locations, especially those that are kind of unknown to people, one thing that I have learned along the way is because I travel a lot. I
Yeah,
think I
you
think
do.
Paul and Gladys could actually say that I travel. I think I travel too much, but I also hold actually
Yeah, she
I
does.
hold a full-time job as well. But one of the things I've learned actually is because I'm one of those people that don't plan anything. I'll go to a place and then find out what I could do. And the information coming from the locals is actually very valuable. So,
Definitely, yeah.
because I tend to talk to everyone. So I tend to talk to anyone that I meet. So that's how I actually get to know places that are not known to people normally, but it's known to the locals because
Yeah, no,
that's where they walk their
I
dog.
agree. You know, I've been to
Yeah.
places, and you talk to someone walking down the street or something like that. I think this happened a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I was somewhere. I can't remember what it was now. So it'd be on a video somewhere probably. I was talking to someone. I said, "Oh, why do you go down science and science so?" Because there's whatever it is down there, and I'm sure I had something the other week, and I can't think what it is because I've done so much. But I remember someone saying something to me like, "Oh, I didn't know that was there." So yeah, it is good to get talking to people and that. And I'm always chatting to people whenever I'm out and about. I'm always chatting to people, which is quite nice. I've always, I do find there's some photographers that go out there and they just want to zone into their zone and that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whereas me, if I see someone, I want to go and talk to them.
Mm.
In fact, I actually told someone else. I went to a little place. It'd be on a video over the next couple of months. I was up in sort of South Scotland, and I went to visit near Vero and Finesse, and again,
Oh, yeah.
a place that isn't photographed. I don't think I've ever watched a video taken on Roe Island. And I thought, well, there's this little spot of land down there that I've not been to. Let's go and have a look. So I actually
Yeah.
spent the night there. I went and took some photographs. It wasn't the best, but I've been there. And then you've got the other little bit of land. I think it's Warney Island. There's like a little strip of like a sandbank, and there's
Yeah,
a
I
nature
know what you're
reserve on
saying.
there. And apparently that nature reserve is very, very well known for birds and wildlife. But I was talking to the guy who was picking up some litter, and I'm like, oh, I bet you get a lot of that. And he's like, yeah, you're picking up. It was his first day volunteering on the nature reserve. And he said, oh, have you seen the seals? I'm like, whoa, what seals? He's like, we've got seals down on the beach. So he took me and showed me the video camera. That was it. I was off then, go and look at the seals. I took me 300 mil. You couldn't see them. I can just about show you them on the video type of thing. But again, that was just randomly talking to the guy. They said there were seals there. And off I went walking across the nature reserve, so
Yeah.
that was pretty good. And again, so I suppose going back a couple of questions, finding somewhere different. I don't know anyone that's ever been there to photograph, but because I hadn't been there, I wanted to go and have a look. So yeah, I've probably done 2 little locations, which you'll see coming up at some time in the future. I don't know when this will go out, but it'll definitely be coming up in the future. Yeah, so a bit random. So yeah, I do it and do try and find new interesting places. I just don't have the amount of time to go looking, more than not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially if you're working full time as well and doing 2 YouTube channel, 2 videos a week. That's that's a lot. I'm just going to bring it back to pretty much you again, Paul. There, regards to you kind of mentioned where your desire from photographing seascapes, landscapes come from. What are you trying to reveal in your photographs? And for example, everyone has got like an answer with actually. They've always given an answer when we've actually interviewed and asked that question on the cast. What will you try to reveal yourself from your photograph? Is it light? What's your favourite aspects of trying to get your ideal shot? Now, I know there's no such thing as an ideal shot in photography. If there is, I'm going to look at a magazine and try to get that. But what do you try to reveal about your photography in general, as in your work?
So, and that's a really good question, actually. I don't know how to answer it.
No, that's okay.
I think
The
difference between me and maybe some of the other people, and what I'm going to do now is definitely go back and watch some of these other videos you've done for the other people and see what their answers are. I don't go yes, we're always looking for the light. I don't necessarily go searching and hunting for the light, because with only having a weekend generally, apart from when I've got, you know, a few days off work, I get what I'm given. So going hunting for the light, if I see the lights there, then I'll do my best to get myself in a place that I can make the best of it. You know, I'll get up on top of whatever, get underneath. I'll make the best of whatever I can when I get there. But I don't necessarily go out because I know the light's going to be that direction. So I don't do the planning that, oh, it's August, so the light's going to shine down there, so let's go and do that. Because more often than not, you're going to be disappointed, and I don't have enough weekends left to be disappointed. So I try not to build up something that I'm going chasing.
That's a good answer. Because you know, everyone says, like you said, the opposite from everyone's saying in regards to they'll have a look at apps, etc., things like that. And I think that kind of tedious. That takes away the romance of photography. As Jan says, you don't plan anything; you just go out.
You're edging your bets. You're edging your bets, planning to try and get, if you've got a particular shot or a particular idea set up in your head. And because I've probably got so many ideas in my head, I've seen so many things now. My Google Maps is completely stuffed solid that you can't even see the country anymore. You know, so I don't do that necessarily. You know, whereas someone might say, "Oh, next August, I want to go there. I've seen this tree. Next August is going to look beautiful in the golden colours. If I go at this time of year or time of day, the light's going to be coming in here." So you're pre-planning where you're going to go. You've already got that mindset of that shot set up. I don't bother doing that anymore, because I've got that many that I can't think of one particular one. And when I get there, it's probably not going to be like it. And, you know, you've got 2 or 3 weeks of autumn color. So to get that in one weekend without the weather and stuff, it's too much effort. It's too much hard work. If I go to a seascape, I mean, I love the sea more than anything. I love the sound of the sea, the smell of the sea. I love the power and everything. It's just amazing. So if I had an option to go into a wood, onto a mountain, or into the sea, I'd go to the sea if I get the chance. But there's less of it because you know, I'm closer to the mountains really. But I don't think I've got a genre, a style. I mean, people say I've got a style, but I don't feel I have a style, because I can walk into any particular style of landscape, if you like. I mean, I can do any genre, but any particular style of landscape. Like, say, you're a woodland photographer, which I'm not, but I enjoy it. I do seascape when I get the opportunity and the chance. I like the hills and the mountains. I like the country. I like all sorts of different styles, and that's just because I'm out there and I'm doing it and breathing it and living it. So I'll take whatever I'm taking. So I don't feel that I can answer that as I've got a particular. I don't go out in a mindset in a way to think I'm going to produce this style of image. You know, like waterfalls. I love taking waterfalls, and people are very good at it. I don't think I'm very good at waterfalls. You know, I'm like, the water's moving, so do I want a third of a second?
I'm not really
half a second. So I go long and do 10 seconds. So I shoot it. It's just like, the image looks good. If the image looks okay, that's nice. I like that. So I try not to preset myself up to be something or try and achieve something. You know, I think we're going right back to the beginning of the conversation, where it's like, I go out with my camera and I just take photographs. You know, so I go to an area I sort of want to be in, and then take it from there.
Keeping an open mind is good. I think in any kind of art, you know, being subjective to the subject you're actually taking a picture of, instead of trying to create something in your mind. Yeah, it's a good point. I've
missed out on a few. I mean, I know I've got a friend that always takes long exposures when he's near the sea, and I've taken a few shots before now, and I've come back and like, oh, sugar. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I take that? So I'm trying to teach myself to take those long exposure ones as well, even if I'm not there to do that, because sometimes you'll get back, or do vice versa. If you're just taking long exposures, take a few quick ones as well. We got breaking waves. So try and take those few different styles and then take it back, unless your style is long exposure, you know, and then you sort of adapt and you fit you become good at that one little style, don't you?
Would you say that you experiment a lot then with different
ideas? I used to do a lot. You know, if you go back through some of my early videos, I've done all sorts of style, long exposures, minimal stuff. Gary Goff's very good on his photo manipulation, so he'll take a photograph and then spend 2 or 3 days taking stuff out of it to make it look like a minimalistic image. That's fantastic, and I've done that as well, you know. But that's time consuming. You've got to be good at it, you know. And he's good at it, you know. He's really good at what he does. Photoshop master when it comes to that. And again, do you want to spend hours sitting in the studio?
Exactly. And I think, I don't know what you guys, I don't know how you actually feel about this, but when you've been out all day photographing, and you're enjoying just getting out there, it is. and then you come back home, and do you actually rush to the computer and start doing post-processing? Do you enjoy it? Another thing, or do you just leave it for a couple of days afterwards just
Now,
to get away these preconceptions?
that's also another quite good one, especially for people that, if they're quite new to photography. I used to sort of go out, I'll have a weekend out, come back, and I'll start editing stuff within that week or something. I've now got files because I've had a lot of holidays left over this year. So I've just had a week in Scotland. I went up to Isle of Harris and Lewis. I haven't even started looking at them photographs, and that was over. So that was 2 months ago. I've had another week in south of Scotland. I've had a week in the Faroe Islands. I've had every weekend as well.
Oh,
I've had a week in the Lake District. So I've had to use up all my holidays before Christmas. So I've had a lot of time off. I've got stacks of photographs. Now I've got stuff on it. Like I said, I've been up to Harris and Lewis. I've got photographs. I haven't even looked at them. Videos I haven't even looked at. I know when I get to them, my vision to what it was when it was there is probably going to change. So if you can sort of, my recommendation would, if you take photographs at the weekend, try and have a look at them in that week. Even if you go back to them again later on, just try and have a look at them, because you'll forget what you've been doing. I've got friends that say, oh, I've got photos, I haven't even looked at them yet. You know, I took them in March or August. And why have you done that? Because your feeling for that photo and that time will change a little bit. So it's really hard to get that something that you had at the time, you know. So yeah, don't go rushing to the computer to edit them. I mean, I'm not one of those, but
yeah.
I don't like the idea of having to leave them like I have done, because I've lost that little connection, maybe that little fizz that I had at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's when I first started. Sorry, go on, Jan.
Sorry. I think with editing, it's kind of, I'm one of the worst editor in history because I just basically press auto, and then when I look at it, when it's overblown and my levels is the dark is too high, the wide is too high, that's when I just put it across like that. And if I
back in a bit.
Yeah, and then if I say, yeah, that's fine, that's it, that's all I do with regards to my photos. So because I'm not good at it and I'm lazy, if I spend more than 5 minutes in it, then I lose interest.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that why I actually segue to that is that, do you think that it's important when you take photos to get it right on camera?
And again, modern cameras, my camera shoots, I've got mine set up to take 5 images every time. Most of the time, whenever I take a picture, it takes 5. So I take my normal exposure, I take 1 over, and then take a second photograph. So I've got 1 over exposure, a second stop over exposure, and I've got 1 under exposure and a second stop under exposure. So I've got a range between 5 stops of images or 4 stops of images. So because my camera's not a full frame, it's not quite as clever as some of the bigger high-end stuff. The dynamic range isn't quite as good. So I do that as edging my bets. And modern cameras now, it does it instantly. You just click the button once and it does it, especially if it's on a tripod, they're there. Yeah. So I've got that choice then if I need to. 9 times out of 10, I only ever use 1, and that's the first one, because the camera's normally that good now. The dynamic range is good enough that you can get the highlights, the shadow detail and everything. They're so phenomenally good that you don't have to worry about the camera. Like you say, you can hit auto and it's normally pretty good and it sets it all up for you. So again, you don't need to know how to edit images anymore, but knowing will help you produce a better looking final image. You know, if you want to spend the time and work it out, I mean, the best editing really is your crop tool and maybe like your cloning tool to take out, the dog bags that someone's left on the tree, because there's always going to be one of them in a photo, no matter what you do, So just being able to remove that and dust spots. I mean, come on, who doesn't suffer with soft spots anymore?
Of course.
Dust spots.
Yeah.
I've just went through a load of photographs, and even that you can set a preset up now to take them all out of one set of images, which is good. But not every time you look at the camera, it's got dust spots these days. So yeah, I mean, they're your best 2 tools really, just to be able to clean an image up. The sliders, like I say, most cameras can take a pretty good shot with, on a basic exposure. And like I said, I'm a lazy photographer, so I don't set up my aperture to set up my shutter speed, to set up my ISO. I use aperture priority near enough all the time. I know what aperture I want, what depth of field I want. So I always keep my ISO as low as it'll possibly handle. So only unless I need to shoot a longer exposure or get a quicker exposure in a darker area, then I'll adjust my ISO. Otherwise, I let the camera just. I'm lazy. I let it just do what it's doing.
That brings me nicely to this part of the video. We're going to actually put one of your pictures up, screen share, and we'll be displaying some of your pictures, Paul, throughout the video. And guys, you'll see some of these pictures as we're talking. So this one here was one of my favourites, and you talked about long exposure, of course, and this one's a wide angle lens, and I'm looking at, I don't know if it's a, I don't know what wide angle lens you've got, but I'm guessing it's like a 16 or 14 maybe. But I'll put it up on the screen. I'll just screen share this just now. Bear with me, guys. This is a tense moment. So
this is for me because nothing ever works for me.
Has it worked?
There we go. That's, can you see? Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, great picture. It is a long exposure, I presume. And love it.
No, it's not actually.
Is it not? This is sand.
No,
Everything looks, there's a bit of movement in the sand,
Yeah.
etc. there.
That is actually, yeah, if you look at the water behind it, the actual water line,
Yeah.
the water, as you can see, it's quite still. So that's a relatively quick exposure. The lines you're looking at is actually the leftover, like the shell dust that's in the beach. So you've got a black sandy beach with white shell dust, and it's the shell dust that's flowing away.
Yeah.
That was on my recent Vero Islands trip, that one.
Oh,
Were you lying down taking that picture?
Say again?
Were you lying down while you were taking that picture? 'Cause the picture's gorgeous.
No, I would say the camera was about 3 foot off the ground, maybe on the tripod at the time.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I
And
like
the
it.
patterns, and it was the patterns on the sand. I mean, everyone was, you know, this is when we had the group there, and people were all taking pictures, and I was the only one taking pictures of what I could see in front of me. They were all taking pictures of the I think they're called the witches in the background, the 2C stacks.
Yeah, I can see the two rocks.
And they're like about 100 and something meters up. They're massive, they are. And they were all looking at that and taking pictures of that. But I was just fascinated by these patterns on the beach.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show all the patterns on the beach. And there was you know, this is in the video, and there's a set of photographs that go with this, and they're all slightly different. And literally by raising the camera, lowering the camera, moving from left to right, you get in a slightly different pattern on the beach. And that's really what caught my eye. And if anyone that to find the video for this image, if they go back to my early one when I went back the year or two before, the sand was all completely different then. And I got completely different shaped images and different shaped sand. So yeah, no, it wasn't a long exposure. That was actually
volcanic sand.
Yeah, it's a good one. So going to stick another one up there on the snow. We'll take a little break for the images, and we'll go back to them a little bit later. There's so much. I've got so much choice here, and thank you for
the diversity is crazy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So where do we go? Yeah, it's got to be this one. Got to be this one.
Oh, I can see.
Absolutely love this.
Oh,
yeah.
What a moment that was.
That is stunning. Oh my gosh, the reflections.
Yeah. That was one of those days where I'm going to a location I know. It's Ogwen Valley in North Wales. I've gone over there. Lucky enough, I knew the weather. You know, I knew the weather was cold anyway. We managed to get over there. The roads were clear, but it wasn't just cold. It was extremely cold. We'd had such serious cold weather in the UK, something like we've never had before for a few days or even a week or so. I think it was. I think this was last year, and I got over there, and I was a little bit disappointed with myself because I knew I couldn't get up into the hills in the snow. I haven't got the ability to do that. I started walking along this shoreline and looking at Ogwen. I'm like, that's frozen. Oh my God, that's actually frozen. And the closer I got to it, the more I was thinking about it, I was like, this is phenomenal. The whole lake was solid frozen ice. And I've never seen it like that before, ever. I mean, people that live there may have done, but I have never seen anything with that vastness of ice, not in the UK. And I just had to take a photograph of it. And so I climbed over the wall, went down the bank a little bit just to get a bigger reflection. And it was all about mirroring the top half of the image. You know, the weather conditions were awful. It was horrible and grey and miserable, but the image itself, I've even left all the natural part in on the left-hand side. You can see people walking, the buildings and everything, because the image is just literally, let's just capture what I can see in front of me. It was just outstanding. And absolute, that was one of those memories that, you know, you won't forget. I won't forget that day out. It was just something else. It really was.
Yeah, some beautiful work you got there, Paul. I've really enjoyed looking at the images. I had to look at them when you actually sent me them. Really went through. There's so many choices there to.
And these are all. I remember sending them over to you. These are all very low res images that I sent over to you as well. So the high res versions are just stunning to look at.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll certainly put some up as well.
I love that image. That image of the snow and the ice is just magnificent.
Yeah, it is. It's
Really
really stunning. It's really stunning. Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
a couple more before we go, guys.
But again,
Really,
just going back to the image, there was nothing. I didn't do anything special to that image or to that taking it. To anybody with any camera, including a phone, could have just walked to that shoreline and taken that image.
wow.
So I don't class myself as thinking, wow, I'm really good at taking that. There is no technical ability involved in that image. It's plonk it on the tripod, set the camera up. The only technical bit was probably getting it in the position I wanted to. I knew roughly what I wanted to look at in
I
the
think
image.
it's not just about the technical, it's by your eye. You've got
It's
a
your
good
eye.
eye.
You've got to have an
Yeah, of
eye.
course.
Yeah, I mean,
Really
I
good eye.
I'm
will
suspecting the
definitely-
exposure as well.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I'll
'cause
big
it's
myself
light.
up for having so I don't know, the exposure. Coming back to quickly on that, the camera took 5 images, so I've got the exposure anyway.
Got you. Right.
I don't have to think about it. I know within those images, even though it's all right, because I'm aperture priority, the exposure is going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
I may have just added a half or a quarter of a stop, knowing that it's bright, just to compensate. And again, I suppose that's experience. But the composition is the biggest part of. I knew roughly what I wanted to set up. I knew how I wanted it to look. I wanted it a 50-50 image. But the actual experience, because I shoot semi-automatic, it's literally put it on the camera, on the tripod, line it up where I want, and take the shot.
Yep.
There's no cleverness about it. Anybody could have shot it. The hardest part was being there, and being out in the cold, and it was cold.
As we say, you got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and I think it's also sometimes it's about, like what you said, it's about being there, and also it's about having that eye for a natural eye for a composition and a natural eye for a shot.
I don't look at myself as being a professional. I don't look at myself as being good at what I do. I don't look at myself as even being a good photographer. But I will say that I do feel I have an eye for it.
Oh yeah.
If there's something I've got that I want to big myself up about and be smarmy a little bit about, is I do think I've got an eye. I think I see things that some people don't see. I mean, there's a couple of pictures that come up on my Facebook over the last couple of days, and I've had a bit of bickering with my mate that I went out with, and he's like, "Oh, I found this tree with these mushrooms," and he was like, and I put on his comment, "Hang on a minute, who found that tree?" And then he put another one up of this mushroom that was shaped like a heart, and he's like, "Oh, I found this mushroom, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Whoa, hang on a minute, who found that mushroom?" And I was being a bit cheeky and a little bit nicky about it, because if I hadn't seen that mushroom on the floor, he wouldn't have seen it. And honestly, I'm ashamed I didn't share it with you, because it's a stunning image. So if you have a look at my recent videos of Cannock Chase, and you'll see the mushroom on there. The mushroom was sitting on the floor, little puffball mushroom. It's shaped like a heart. It's got these little leaves around it. Yeah, Cannock Chase.
I'll put the link underneath the video.
It was out a couple of weeks ago. And I just went out to look for things. It was just amazing. It was just a fantastic little weekend.
I can say for that if I had to go out with someone to learn landscape, I would definitely be going to one of your workshops.
Definitely. I mean,
there we go.
Like I say, if I'm good at anything, I do have an eye. I do have a knack for a photo. I do have an eye for seeing not quite the obvious, So yeah. The rest of it, I think my technical ability is pretty simple, to be honest.
I think that is actually quite important, because that makes a difference between a creative and an excellent photo, vis-a-vis a photo that's excellent technically, but it doesn't speak to the watchers or the one looking at it. Because I think with photos, you need to be able to convey what you felt when you actually saw that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that sometimes I over edit sometimes. I put a little bit too much editing in. And again, with the Fuji files, they get messed up really quickly. So I don't know what they look like sometimes looking back at them. I do know I over edit, but it's how I feel, it's how I want it to look. So if I want it to look really dark and gritty, and that's kind of how I felt the image should be for me. So it might not be technically correct, but it's how I wanted it to be. So yeah, and that's a photographer's choice as well. That's something I learned in the camera clubs. You edit the way you want to edit, whether the judge likes it or not. Even though I was always trying to please him or her, the judge. You try and be real and do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, it's a good message for people who actually learn photography, that because they're so caught up in things to see pictures that are ready made and think, I want to do that. I want to be the best. I want to do that. 'Cause, well, when I first started doing photography, I couldn't wait to get home just to do post processing. And now for the last 3 years, I'd say, I've kind of slowed right down, and I've just looked at the images a couple of days after now, because I've probably seen an image I didn't like at first, and I've got this kind of judging this image already before I actually put it onto to Lightroom. And what I'll do is if I leave it a couple of days, I'll look at it and go, I forgot I took that picture, but I've seen it a different kind of way. Does that make
And
sense?
what's nice as well is, like I say, I don't big myself up much I don't ever big myself up as being a good photographer or anything like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And I've been told often many times, oh, well, but you are. Well, that's your opinion. I'm really hard on myself. But sometimes I'll pick my phone up looking for an image. Like when you said, can you send some over? And I'm scrolling through and I'm like, wow. You're actually looking back and think, oh,
it's
pretty
good,
aren't they? You've got some nice colours and nice range and different images. You actually, you shock, I've shocked myself a few times, but hang on a minute, maybe I'm not that bad. They look all right. You forget what you take until you go back and look at them sometimes.
Yeah. We can be
Have you
quietly
had-
confident.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say, have you had experience as well of looking back at your photos and you go, oh my God.
Yeah, I think everyone's done that, haven't they? Especially the older stuff. You go back and go, what was I thinking when I took that? What was I looking at? What is it? But then on the other side of that, I look at, I can be quite harsh sometimes, to be honest. I've seen some people's pictures, and especially woodland. And I know, Paul, if you're a woodland photographer, I'm going to have to look at some of your work. And you mentioned Simon Baxter. The guy is amazing. But I'm one of these strong believers is a woodland picture it's got to be there. If you walk into a wood, I've got a couple of trees that I've taken locally, and the conditions were just right. A bit of mist, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. A bad tree could look good. Do you know what I mean? In the right conditions. But yeah, I've seen woodland pictures, and even some of Simon Baxter's latest stuff. I look at it and go, what are you taking a picture of? It just looks like someone's just taken a picture into the woods. It's like, what has your eye seen? And I say, I feel I've got a good eye for things, but there's, it's like a woodland. You go in and take a picture. It's just a rock of trees. It's like, right, okay, then you might be really, really happy with it. You might have seen something, but sometimes I look at other people's work and go, I've got no idea what you're taking a picture of.
It's very subjective.
I suppose that is, it's natural. It's whatever you see. And I suppose people do it with mine. Why did he take that?
I've seen yours. That's really good. But I actually see people do woodland photography. One of the things, my bugbears is people will actually take a picture of a tree and the skies is all over the place, and they've got maybe got a lovely subject for a tree. It's a gnarly, twisted oak tree, but there's a huge bit of sky into it, and I'm like, and if you just move your lens, so your camera, your tripod, just about up to the left, and it's like you could have got a cracker of a shot. You could have got a really stunning shot, and you get frustrated. I always never comment on anyone's pictures about any criticism. I never do that. I kind of just if I don't like it, I just won't press like. I suppose
I've had people ask me, what do you think? And I'm like, well, and then I'm come back to, do you want me to be honest? Yeah. And I will only. It's always my opinion. It can be complete rubbish, but if you're asking, you're going to get my opinion. And I remember again one of the first workshops I did. The guy sent me some images over. And he said, I'm not very good. He said, what do you think? And one particular image stood out, and I've explained this to many people on the workshops. It was a reflection on like a canal or something. It was a beautiful old house, really nice ornate old house. And there was a bridge, perfect, everything. All the elements were there. I think it was like autumn colours as well. Low sunlight, and the sun was just bouncing off the house, and the reflection in the canal, in the river, was virtually mimicking it. It was stunning. And this is the biggest but about that image, and it was such a nasty but. The sun had reflected on one of the bedroom windows, and it was a pure white flare spot in the middle of the lake, in the middle of the water reflection, because he'd obviously been looking at the house, got that perfectly, but he hadn't noticed this big white spot where the sun was reflecting back out that window.
So
and I'm like, that's amazing. But have you not seen this big white spot in the bottom of the image? In the middle of it's like almost in the mid-bottom thirds. It's just once my eye caught that, I cannot. It's drawn to that one spot, like in this light above my head. Once you catch that light, now I've pointed at it, you're not going to be able to not see it. You're going to get drawn to the edge of the frame. You're going to get drawn to that light all the time. Yeah, and that's what it was doing. It was pulling my eye down. And I pointed it out. I said, "Oh, could you just not clone that out, dabbed it out?" He went, "I hadn't even noticed it."
Yeah, that's a good
It was
point.
his image, and you get focused on what you're looking at, and you don't see that. Whereas I'll be quite honest and go, "Yeah, amazing, but look at that." Or you might just clip the edge of the tree. That's really nice, but look at that. And I'm my world's worst doing it to myself. And I'm quite happy for people to critique my stuff and say, "Oh, did you not miss that?" Because yeah, you will miss things.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be honest with someone and tell them the truth than go in and showing your friends and your family, like, "Oh, isn't that good and that great and that amazing?" Because you're never going to get any better and you're never going to see it unless someone actually tells you. So I'd rather tell you, and be honest with you.
Hard
And
love.
again, it's subjective. It's my own opinion, that I've learned or been taught through camera clubs and judging and being, shot down by the judges. But yeah, I'd rather be told and have the honest truth rather than someone say, "Oh, it's really nice." Because how are you ever going to improve from that?
Good point. That's how we grow as photographers as well. Guys, I'm just going to change this camera because it's an artificial intelligence camera. It's a free Insta360. You can probably see it zooming in and out there. So if I do that, that's it, frozen now. So it's not. Yeah, it's moving. Sorry. Hold on a second. I'll try it again. Yeah, that's it now. So that. Yeah, what it does,
Look at that. It's clever.
It's very sensitive. It'll just go in through different kind of ways. If you put your hand up, it'll think you're wanting to be followed, so the camera will follow you. It's got a little gimbal on top of it. It's a webcam, of course, but yeah, it's just a pain. Yeah, so really interesting conversation, guys. Just a couple of things. I want to put a couple more images up now. I do like these parts of the cast. So I'm going to look at this one here.
Pick a bad one.
Let's go for something different. Let's go for something more, something more kind of experimental, I'd say. When I say experimental, it has been done before, but this is a well organized photograph once I get it to screen share. So bear me a second whilst I do that.
Glad you're pushing the buttons, not me.
You just see my messy desktop in a minute. And I was show up the picture. And there we go.
Oh, I love that.
Again, that's a low res image. If you can see the higher res image, it's a bit nicer than that. But
yeah,
I'm definitely going
just
one
like
of your workshops now. Seeing that.
Yeah, just a good point. I'll just jump in there, guys. These images are smaller files, but if you look onto Paul's website, you will see the high res images. I'm hoping they're coming across okay on the video, but I'll always put a little slideshow at the end of the video as well. Sorry, go on, Glad.
After seeing that image, I definitely want to come to one of your workshops. Oh my gosh, that is such a cool image. I love the fact you've used the colors of the long exposure against the hills.
Yeah, it's not. It needs a little bit more contrast looking at it on this screen. With, let's say, it's a low res image that's been blown up a little bit. But yeah, I'd seen this road on, or something, not even sort of similar. I'd seen this road on an image. This is in South Wales. I can't tell you the name of the place because I couldn't tell you the name of the place where I live, let alone the place that's in South Wales. Yeah, I'd seen this road and it's like, what a masterpiece of a road, But this, okay, technically I had to know how to set the camera up to take the exposures. And this is more than one photograph blended together because you can't get a long enough shutter speed to get the cars coming all the way down the hill and round. And it's multiple cars. So there is a few photographs there all been put together, blended in. But the technical ability here to get this is actually climbing up the little bank that I was stood on. And I remember messaging my mate, Nigel, who doesn't live that far away from there. He knew where the road was. He knew where I was actually going to be. And I messaged him and I actually said to him, if I don't message you back in half an hour, will you please send someone up to look for me? Because I climbed up this little bank, up this hill, and just below out of photo, just below where that little grey bit is at the bottom, there's like a little stream and a brook. Yeah. And I had to sort of jump over that and you climb up this steep bit. But the steep bit's, not only is it steep, but it was loose. So it's like loose grit. Yeah. And it started raining. I'm like, oh my God, I've got myself in a situation, but I needed to get high enough to be able to see the whole loop. And once I'd got there, I was all right, and I will push myself. I will push my luck a little bit. But at this night, I was actually fearful to the fact that if I slipped, nothing was going to stop me until I either ended up in that brook or hit something on the way down. I wasn't high, but I was high enough to know it was going to could make a mess of me. So I actually messaged my friend and said, look, I'm going to report in half an hour. If I don't, then we've got a problem.
Yeah.
The camera was then set up. Like I say, there's several images taken there. So I see a car coming down the hill. I take a shot, maybe 4, 5, 6, maybe even 10 seconds. Then I got it on an interval, so it would keep clicking. So it then take another one and another one and another one. So you get a car like coming down from the trees and sort of almost down and around the bend. And I see a car coming up the hill. So I'll take another one, and then be another car coming around. So I'll take another one. If you look on the far left-hand side, you see 2 little high lines or high sort of red lights. So that was a van. So I just kept taking photographs as they come around. And when I blended them in on Photoshop, I just basically stacked them all in Photoshop. And I think I pressed I think it's called like mean. So it takes out all the dark and leaves the light parts, and it just blends them all in. It's very, very easy editing way of doing it. And it just blends all the light bits back in.
How many stacks was that, Paul? How many
I couldn't
images?
tell you off the top of my head. Probably, possibly 10 or 12.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there's a lot of
there's quite a lot of lights there. I think I did several versions of it, but I actually liked stacking all of them. I think that worked better for me.
And on the right-hand side of the image, that's not your van, is it?
It is, yeah. I can't see it because the picture's over picture, but yeah, that's my van in that corner.
That's your van there. Yeah, it's a great picture. I can also, you mentioned about the rain. You can actually look at the top, then you can see the clouds.
It was going dark, obviously, to get the lights on as well. The time of the year, again, it wasn't planned, but I knew the time of the year there'd probably be more cars because it's sort of home time sort of thing. So I knew there'd be a little bit more cars there.
More rush hour.
There is. I want to do this same style of image at Mantur. I'm actually heading there this weekend. But you got the road behind Mantur, which snakes down into Edale. I've seen photographs of it. I'd like to take my version of it and have a go at that, but it's just planning the right time of the year where you got cars coming up and down. It's a quiet road, so you do need a few cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's a nice little image. I was proud of having it done. It's now I've done that one. It's like, I can tick that off my box. I don't ever need to go back there again, really. But
it's a nice shot.
And it's a beautiful area as well. When you get there, it's a stunning drive around that area. It's just below the Brecon Beacons, that is.
Oh yeah, it's I like the whole aspect of the light in the background with the clouds, the dark clouds above.
Yeah, I think it all works well. The rain was coming in. It was thick. It was heavy. It was miserable and nasty. But yeah, it all adds to it. It works. Yeah.
Yeah. Drama and also interest. I like that. I'll go to another one here. Since we're on the share screen. And we're going to go to so much. I am spoilt for choice here. Guys, you can probably see these images in thumbnail size, and you'll see there's some stunners there. There's quite a few of them there. So yeah, I'm going to go for this one here. And I'm guessing, is this is this more kind of not Iceland but Faroe Islands?
This is the Faroe Islands. Yeah, this is on the island of the Kalor.
Stunning.
Kalsoy, so it's Kalsoy Island with Keller Lighthouse, and this is actually where this is plot spoiler. So if you're a James Bond fan and you haven't seen the film, turn off now. As you look at that lighthouse and follow the path up to the right-hand side, there's a little sort of spot. You can't quite see it on the image, but there's a little spot there, and it's actually where James Bond died. Now I know James Bond is just a fictional character, but he died. He got blown up. This was the cliff that they had in the film. They nuked the film at the end, and he was there. So yeah, there's a memorial there for him, a little tombstone and a plaque. So
that's interesting.
This is an amazing place, and the pathway that you see coming down to the bottom left. And again, I'm using that line, that sort of leading from the bottom left-hand corner. It's always something, if there's any advice I can give while doing this video, is always have your images leading left to right, because that's how your natural eye works, especially in the UK anyway. Maybe different in Japan, but your eye leads from left to right because that's how we read. So anything going that direction is more pleasing on the eye than it is going from right to left. That pathway is actually the pathway that people would say is quite treacherous to walk across. If you slip on that, it's about 2 foot wide, but if you slip, both slopes literally lead you down into 100 meters to the cliff, to the sea. So there's no forgiveness if you're off the edge of that. So my mate come across that on his hands and knees. I think I showed it in the video. It's an amazing place, and again, very popular. If you're into your traveling photography, it's a very popular place to go to visit. But one I had to go to and see, and the picture does not do it justice. It really doesn't. It is one of the most amazing sights you're ever going to see. But you need to see it from where I was stood, and you've got to walk across that bridge to see it.
It's on
That's
the
the only
bucket
thing.
list. Yeah, Faroe
I mean,
Islands.
well, if it's on your bucket list, keep an eye on going back over again in 25. So
Okay. Yeah, looking at it, you're talking about the leading line going up, and of course your eye does kind of travel from the bottom left to the top right almost, and then you've got so much interest in the background there. It is, the backdrop's stunning as well. Looking at the backdrop.
it is. It's just phenomenal. It's just fjords and mountains and islands and stuff. I mean, if you look at the image and study it a little bit, you're probably, a judge would maybe look at it and say it's very sort of off balance. It's very left heavy because you're going into sort of emptiness into the right hand side. So all the weight's on the left hand side of the image, but there isn't any way of telling the story of it. You know, you have to have that mountain in the background. You know, you have to have the fjord. You have to have that water down in that bottom corner. It's off weighted, but again, it's the best I could do with that image in that style of shape of the mountain at the time. I've got wider ones but it just works the way it is.
Stunning, brilliant. Really spoilt for these ones here. Let's have a look, see what else we can get through. This is no, I'm kind of toying between two here. Yeah, why not? I'm a woodland photographer. I'm going to go first.
Oh, you got to go for group.
I've got to do this.
Not the best
group
example of the group photograph I've got, but again, who would not want to photograph that tree?
It's amazing.
Is the best tree in the world. It's got to be. It's just phenomenal.
So, lads, can you see that the actual shape of a body there?
It's really cool.
Yeah,
that's at Cannock Chase as well. So
legs.
I walk through Cannock Chase quite a lot when I come down, when I go back to my hometown. That's where Lord of the Rings was based.
Was it?
Yeah.
Right. If you get to Little Great Hayward, there's a little house where J.R.K. Tolkien lived.
Wow.
And his inspiration was all around Shugborough and
I love Lord of the Rings. That's probably where I get this slightly sort of twisted mindset.
And Cannock Chase.
Things like that. But that tree, I'd watched Nigel Damson, again, another big name on YouTube. He'd been to this place, he'd photographed this tree. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to see that tree. And shame I can't remember his name, but there's a guy that lives down there. He said, if you want to go, Paul, I know where it is. I'm like, hell yeah. And this was taken the first time I went. So we had autumn colours, but again, shooting up too much light in it. I've been back since a couple of weeks ago, and I think I've got some better images because I've sort of taken off the top part of the image, and I've done something very different that I've never seen anyone else shoot before with it, by having the camera in a slightly different position. And I've got a really good, it almost looks like a film set style image. It's taken from a very high perspective, and I think it works a lot better. But yeah, the fact that he's got arms and legs and a head, and it's just one of the most amazing things of nature. That is, it's just phenomenal.
It's absolutely amazing. Like a wicker man.
It's brilliant.
Looking at the image, I keep on getting on my head. Is there a way to actually isolate the tree from the bigger tree?
Yes, that's what I did in the recent video, in the recent images. So definitely.
Because the way I'm looking at it, the bigger tree sorts of overwhelms it.
It does a little bit, I'm just going to see if I can find it on my phone and hold it up and show you if I can.
Sure.
But I've actually got one on my phone that I'm going to see if I can just find while we're talking about other images. If you bring them up.
Where Cannock Chase is that?
It's actually on Google Maps. If you Google Groot tree Cannock Chase, it's actually on Google Maps now. So please, if you're going to go there, don't spoil it. I know that,
I'm just curious.
Don't take an axe to it.
No, please don't. Please don't. And that tree is still alive. It still has leaves on it. It's not a dead tree. But if I can find the reason.
Gorgeous ancient trees in Cannock Chase. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
But another woodland I would definitely recommend if you get a chance to go is there's a place called Chillingham Castle in Northumbria. But if you go to right back of the Chillingham Castle, there's a woodland, And honestly, it's probably the most scariest woodland I've ever walked in, because
Sounds
all
good.
the trees are
Oh, yeah.
really curved.
First
They
of
look
all,
like
I
they're
don't know
about
if you
to
can
take
see
you
it,
in.
but that is the mushroom.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah. You can see
So
is that
that's in
droplets
the
on it?
video. Yeah,
Mm.
that's the mushroom. It's not droplets, it's just a pattern on the mushroom.
It's absolutely
It was
nice.
just stunning, yeah. So you must watch the video just to have a look at it.
Yeah,
So this,
definitely.
let's have a look. This is Groot. And again, not the best way of showing it this way, but you see there, getting rid of
I like that. Yeah,
getting
Yeah,
rid of the
that's
actual
silhouette
background. So you've just got
works.
the tree and he's just walking away. So again,
yeah,
that'll be
that's
that.
actually quite a better image for
Yeah,
me.
no, definitely much better.
It's more dynamic and
Yes,
it tells a story.
yeah,
Yeah, it's because
You
it's on the
can
left hand
actually
side
create a
too.
story with it, and
Yeah.
it stimulates that mind. So because the previous image actually, it kinds of the big tree in front of it overwhelms it, but the second
it
image
does. Yes, yeah,
show actually is more dynamic, and because you also have the space on, like what you said, we look at from left to right, so it basically gives
Yeah, that's
you
a good
that.
shot.
Yeah, it gives you that kind of, it tells a story that actually he might be going somewhere.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
You
No,
know,
definitely.
and you have that dynamism on it,
Yeah.
because the other one, it feels like he's being,
Yeah, the trees
held.
overpowering the top of it,
Yeah,
sort of
I
pinning it
being-
down a little bit. Yeah,
it's
For
being
me
held
looking
in
at it,
place.
yeah, for me looking at that image, I like it in a way that there is definitely a composition there, because you've got the larger tree, the branches going over it. It's like it's framing it. It's kind of doing
Framing it.
this. If I can do it,
Mhm.
if I can do
yeah,
it, that's one way of looking at it. But yes, I get what Jan you're saying there, because that's the thing with wheeling photography. But that we know with Brute, that tree, when I actually first seen it on Nigel Danson's channel, first thing I'd done is went to Google Maps and looked for it, because I thought that was astonishing. But yeah, the way you've done it is you've still framed it. It's a decent composition. But yeah, I do agree with Jan in regards to the tree needs to be isolated in a way it needs to be seen.
yeah.
And what you've
I
done with
think
that shot on your mobile there,
the last couple, like I say, the video. I'm not sure if I've already done it or it'll be put together at some point and go out.
okay,
And I actually show my technique of how I got the better shot. And I've taken people there, shown people this tree. I've taken people and taken photographs, and we all set up and they all take the pictures looking down, looking at the tree. They try and isolate it. But I said to the friend that I was out there with this time, I said, I've got to do this differently. I can't just do another video of this tree. As much as I love Groot, it's an amazing tree. I need to do something different.
Yeah.
And I had the camera on my tripod. And people, if you watch my videos and watch my channels, you'll see I do this occasionally. I put my camera on the tripod, lift the tripod up as high as it'll go. Then I'll pick the tripod up and hold the tripod right up in the air.
right,
And I'll
okay.
stabilize it with my arms and against my chest, and I'll hold it there. And I'll just take the photograph. And it's giving you a perspective of like 15 foot or whatever in the air. Now, I did that with Groot. I'm like, hang on a minute, this works. And in the end,
Yeah.
I had it balanced over that branch that we could see. I had the camera actually hooked over that branch. So I'm
Yeah.
looking down on it. So it's looking like a cinema camera would do. Like if you were filming a film and watching him walk away, that's where the camera would be looking down. So I
Yeah.
had the camera up really high, and and that's just a low res one on my phone. But the actual images I took and put in the video, they look so much better, because I've never seen anyone shoot it at that angle, because there's not
Yeah.
many idiots that want to hang their tripod on a tree, so
Yeah.
I just went
Yeah.
above and beyond a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about, owning a specific place by taking photos, which is not a conventional one. Something that actually, even though I always say, when people say, why do you want to go into the same place where everyone has taken a photo?
Yeah.
But it's about looking at that
the light's
scene, and
always
it's
going to be
about
different.
making it.
Yeah, the light's always going to be different. The conditions can always going to be different. And again, I always go and I normally take that first image. You go to the lone tree at Glenpallan in Llanberis. Everyone goes, sets a tripod up, bang, you've got the tree. But then once you've got that, you've done it. So then try and move around, get down really, really low. So you've got bigger, more water, get up really high, look through bushes, look through the trees, look under and through things and round things.
Yeah.
Because there's always you might just find an image that works better than the obvious. But unfortunately, the obvious is normally the best one, because everyone takes it for a reason. It's normally the best position in the best lineup. And because it
Mm.
works. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And thinking of woodlands, the good thing about woodland photography, you can be original in many ways because we make sense of trying to separate the trees. We try to get past all the chaos is probably used. The word's been used quite a lot in woodland photography, which is making sense of the chaos, trying to separate and try to get a composition that it works.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
you always
why
get
I
an
don't
original
class
picture.
myself as a good woodland photographer. I'm a long way from a good woodland
Oh,
photographer.
you see, your pictures are really nice on them. Yeah, I really enjoy looking at
Because
them.
I do think you really need a really good eye to be able to make something work. I mean, my dream for a woodland is one of Simon Baxter's early pictures. I think it's that tree that he uses for his logo, where he's got the tree.
Oh, Afraid of Time.
Yeah, where he's
it's
got
in his
amongst
book.
all the pine trees, he's got this one tree that the light's shining through at that particular time.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh. You know,
Yeah.
that particular day he went, on that particular time he went, and that particular light he had was just immense.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to find a tree. I mean, that's what I'm always looking for. When I'm out walking around woodland, I'm looking for that one thing that's standing out amongst everything, and I haven't come across it yet. But apart from Groot, obviously, but I haven't come across it yet. And
Yeah.
you know, but
yeah.
then again, it's knowing the woodlands. I don't know. I think if you go to good old ancient woodlands like Padley Gorge and places like that,
Padley Gorge,
I
yeah.
mean that's my local really, but I don't really know
Oh,
the good
lucky.
woodlands.
Really
And
nice.
again, that's experience and scouting, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But
I
they're
saw
the woodlands that really do lend themselves to having something special. You know, the old
I saw
ones.
pictures of the puzzle. Was it the puzzle forest down south?
Never heard of that.
Oh, is that the more of kind of, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, it's kind of like more of a sort of, not a national trust, but it's kind of like that, isn't it? It's more of a commercial woodland, yeah. So, not plantation, but yeah.
But it's ancient. A lot of the trees are very old, and
Wow.
that. And I saw a video. Someone took a video of it, and it just looks so impressive. I thought, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're lucky enough to live near, I think that's the key. That's the answer. You need to live near a good woodland. Like I live near Delamere Forest. That's not a good woodland. There's loads of pine trees. It's not a good woodland. There's a few little bits in it that are okay, but if you live near a good woodland, like Simon Baxter, he's lucky. He lives, you know, within a mile or so of that massive oak woodlands, ancient woodlands. So he can wake up, and again, he's full time, so he doesn't have to work. And you know, if I wake up on a Tuesday and the weather's good, which it normally is, I've got to go to work.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
say, oh, hang a minute, let's go off to the woods.
But
That's
see, the other
point.
thing
you know,
the other thing that's amazing about Cannock Chase in that area, because I remember, because I grew up there in my teenage age, is the stars.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
see the
For something
stars
so
and the
close to the
comets.
town, it's
So
quite a stunning
clear.
place. And
Because
again,
where I
Cannock Chase
live-
has got lots to offer, and it's
It
not that far
has,
away from me.
it
It's only
has,
sort of 30,
it has.
35 miles. So.
And I remember I used to live because we've got amazing deers as well. You get loads of deers and rabbits, and it's just incredible.
It's a stunning place.
Wildlife, yeah.
But even where my mum's and dad's house was, you could see. I remember when Halley's Comet came, you could see it literally outside my bedroom window.
Yeah.
Wow.
Clear as anything. Stafford is amazing for astronomy and for stars. And if you want to take woodland with the stars, you'd get it. You'd get
Yeah,
it.
that's a good point. Shoot up into the canopy, open canopy with the stuff. Yeah, that's a good point. That's very
Amazing.
difficult. There's a lot of things
Yeah,
you've got the shutters, you've got everything. You've got it means like you're not going to see. You could see the trees, of course, but you're mainly going to see the stars. I'm going to put one more image up. There's so much. I'm just trying to. I really do like this one. In fact, should I? Bear with me a second while I do this. Don't worry, I'll be pausing the ums and ahs and maybe. Let's have a look here. We've got, there's so much. Yes, we're kind of on the subject. Why not? Let's go for another tree. So I'm going to put this up just now. I'm going to go. Actually, love this shot. Tell you why I love this shot. Firstly, the first thing I notice with the shot is just the actual interest of the tree itself. It's a gnarly tree. It looks like an ash tree. Am I correct?
I cannot put my hand up to anything technical like that. I wouldn't have a clue.
suspect, without closer investigation, I'll say an ash tree. And I do like the foreground of the rocks coming out, the snow. And in the distance, as far as the eye can see, there is you can see a bridge there. Am I right?
Ribblehead Viaduct.
Ah, that's it, the viaduct for that. Yeah. And of course the snow as well. It's just a nice, simple image.
So again, I cannot take any credit for being, or the photograph. I can take the credit for being there. And in all fairness, when me and I think I was with Mr. Waite, my friend, and that's not Charlie Waite now, which is funny because I was with Darren Waite, his name is, and this tree is actually known as Charlie Waite's tree. This is the tree that Charlie Waite shot. I would say so. This is we didn't really know where it was, but both me and Darren have gone over this weekend, and we had a severe storm come in the night we came over. And when we got up in the morning, our vehicles were actually parked down by the Ribble Head, and we had about 4 foot of snow up the sides of the vans. They were snowed in, and that night we had a big storm, and the roads was closed at both ends. You couldn't get out, and people couldn't get in. So we were pretty much pinned in there, and it was an amazing morning and weekend. But we wanted to go and find this tree. He'd actually found where it was. He'd done a lot of Google research. He said, "I think I found where the tree was," and we went to look for it. And yeah, I already knew where the tree was then. By this time, the conditions were perfect with the snow and everything. The grey sort of honed in sky. The technical ability was lining it all up so that I could get the background and some rocks and everything else. But it's almost a copy of an original image, you know. So it's not my own doing. It's not something I've gone out and stumbled across. Looking at the image again now, you've put it up on the screen. I would have probably tidied it up a bit more now, going back and looking at it. You're seeing, like, in the bottom, you get these little twigs that are sticking up. They're almost
in the
distracting
foreground
to me.
just about there.
I think I'd have probably cleaned them up, in, you know, going back and looking at it. But at the time, I was probably thinking, oh, to get the image put together, get it right, you know, get it onto the video and stuff like that. But again, it's an amazing place. It's an amazing tree. And it's one that I don't disclose the location easily, because I think it could be spoiled otherwise.
Good point.
But again, it's known as Charlie Waite's tree, and like I say, it's just a stunner, an absolute stunner.
Interesting you say that regards to location, especially in the recent events, what's been happening.
The tree. Again, you know, it was such a shame to lose it. Oh, that
actually crazy in it.
That tree.
I'm going to, guys, we'll do one more image. I think we should go for it. Let's go for it. There's so much to choice here. It's a shame not to.
Random.
It's really. I've got my eyes on a couple. I'm just trying to differentiate what to go for here. Let's get away from trees for a little bit there. Let's go. I like simplicity, and this is a nice 1x1 crop in camera, I presume, which I'll just get up in a minute.
I don't actually crop in camera very often.
You're not? Okay.
That's
a lovely shot.
Thing.
Simple. I love it.
Yeah, so that's having that eye to seeing something that not everyone's going to see. I don't know if I sent you the other one that was next to that, but on my phone I've got two, and there's actually a person on the beach. So this is actually looking across or up the beach, should you say. So I was walking along a pier. I can't remember the name of the pier. It's the one that's up on the northeast coast. It's got the Victorian chairlift thing behind it.
Is this Northumbrian?
Northumberland area, and you've got a really nice little old pier with red and white buildings. You've got the crane, the chairlift that goes up the cliff behind it. So we're walking out on the pier, and it was sort of sunset sort of time. You can see the sun was going low. It's going very gold, and the whole sea was just shining with this gold color. And as I was walking out the pier, I noticed, because we were sort of within line of the ripples coming in, I just thought those ripples look so cool. These look so good. So I took a couple of images, and this was, I didn't really take many, but this was just one of the, one that I took. I just loved the simplicity, the lines, and just, it's something of nothing. And again, there's not many people that would pick up their iPhone and take that, so that is quite a unique image. Yeah, it's quite nice.
I like it. The more you stare at it, the warm tones, you get a sense of warmth of it. And also there's different shades of warmth. You've got the dark at the part, the foreground's darker and the lighter in the middle, and it goes slightly later as you go into the corner of the image. It's a really nice shot, and also the leading line of the...
I think it also works because there's 3 lines.
Exactly.
I think if there was, the rules are thirds, and having 3 and odd numbers. If there was 4 lines, it probably wouldn't have worked, and that's more fluke than anything. I don't think I was thinking, it's 3 lines, take the image. It's just the fact that maybe when I look back at it, it's just pleasing on the eye, and now I'm trying to study my own image. It's probably the fact of, maybe because there's 3 lines there, it's maybe more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, and I see why you went for a 1x1 crop, because it's such a simple image. 1x1 is the most simple format.
I don't shoot a lot of square crop very often. I never do it, like I said, I don't ever do it in camera. I normally crop when I'm back. And again, it's just faffing around in the camera, to actually set the settings up. I think if I see something, I'll take it. And then when I look back on the screen and when I get home, I'm like, hang on a minute, that'll work a little bit better as a square or work better as a 16:9 because I've got too much sky or too much water.
Yeah.
So I'll clean it up sort of when I get back. But I don't very often see something and go, oh, I'm going to shoot this as a 1:1.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll see stuff, but I won't do it in camera.
Good shot, Paul. Nice one to end the video. Really great kind of conversation we had tonight, guys, and especially Jan. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. And we'll see you often as we want to. If you want to, sorry, you come on when you want. Paul, just a question we always ask everyone who comes on to the podcast is: would you be happy to come on again?
I would, yeah, definitely.
Great.
It's been good, yeah. It's
It
been
is,
nice.
it's really-
I like this. I like the relaxed feel of it and everything. Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
good.
we try to get that across to everyone.
And
It's,
good questions.
yeah, some really interesting questions come from the guys tonight as well. I couldn't do this without them, to be fair. So thanks, guys, for doing that. One of the things we try to do is get across to new photographers or new people who are actually into photography, is getting people like yourself on the show and just trying to get that, get a kind of more relaxed feeling about learning photography as opposed to getting more technical and jargon and everything. Just trying to go for the simplicity parts. And as Jan says, you know, it's mainly, you don't have to really think about a shot so much. You just basically go there, and if you see something you like, you just shoot it.
If you like landscape photography, then enjoy being out more than enjoy taking the camera. I don't enjoy carrying all my gear. I want to actually make my gear less now. I don't enjoy carrying all the gear. I've got a smaller tripod than I used to have. It's hard work. I'm getting older. My legs aren't as good. It's just ridiculous. So enjoy being out. And then if you see the photograph, then that's a bonus. Then you're bringing something back to remember it, or bring back memories rather than try and go out to take something that you know is going to be amazing. Because with landscape, there's so many things that can go wrong or not add up. So you could be more often disappointed. So even though I get disappointed and I do get down and I do get frustrated, I tend to enjoy the adventure and the walk, or try to enjoy the adventure and the walk more than the photography.
And that's amen to that. I think that's one thing we all can agree on, is being out. And that's it, just getting out there. And Paul, I'm just going to actually put a plug in about your calendar. No, you did mention it earlier. There'll be some images overlapping this as we speak. Can you tell me more about your calendar and where people can get it, etc.?
Yeah, if you go onto the website, which you'll be putting up on the screen, there is a link on there. There's a page to sort of like workshops and ideas and things. And again, because I'm not an official professional photographer with professional setup stuff, if you're interested in coming out on one-to-ones or workshops, or interested in the calendar, then it's probably better to contact me and ask me what I'm doing and where I'm going, rather than setting up fully fledged workshops, because it's not that easy to do when you're full-time and not have the time to set them up. And again, the calendar's on there. There's a link to take you over to the calendar, takes you to a PayPal, and then you send it all through to me. Very limited on stock though for this year, very limited. And again, if you're interested in the workshops, again, it's best to sort of drop me a line and you can get your name down on something.
And guys, as you see right now on the video, you can see the images I'm putting up of the calendar. And it says, this is what Paul says. We'll put a link underneath the video for that too as well. Thanks for guys for watching for so long. We've been running over a little bit of time there. Probably there's going to be a lot of it edited out, especially my kind of stuff I've been talking about. But nevertheless, it's been great, and it's been a real informative chat from Paul Compton, and I'm sure we'll see him again on the channel. Guys, Glads, Jan, and Paul, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys, and do have a good evening, and we'll be back next week with Matthew Whalen, a photographer who talks about, does street photography, but also puts poems to his images. So that's going to be an interesting chat. Anyway, guys, been a pleasure, and take care.
Thank you.
Enjoy your photography.
Thank you.
Ciao for now.
See you later.
Ciao.
Guys.
Bye, Paul.